Hello, everyone. Welcome to this next episode of Let's Talk Data, presented to you by DQE. In the previous episode, we had the pleasure of talking to Steve Collins about the ins and outs of data in the retail sector. And today, we are shifting our focus towards a concept that is emerging and becoming more and more important over the last few years. And we're talking with one of its advocates, of its main advocates. I'm talking about data governance. And my guest today is Charlotte Ledoux. So, Charlotte Ledoux, I'll give a few words about yourself. You have a lot of experience in consulting, especially around data, AI, and you have become, over the years, one of the proponents of data governance. So, maybe to begin with, did I miss anything about you in terms of introduction? How would you introduce yourself?
The intro was great.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. I've been working more specifically on data governance since a few years now. And more recently, there's also AI governance that is coming into play, but I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah. And yeah, happy to be here and to discuss this topic.
Wonderful. So we're going to dive right into the topic. Cut to the chase. Could you define us data governance? What is it in simple terms to start with?
So let's start maybe with a bit of theory.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
So data governance is a framework, a methodology that, with roles, responsibilities, processes, policies, and tools also will help every organization to reach the maximum value in the use of its data. That's a bit theory, not too easy to understand, I think. But I can give maybe another definition.
Okay, yeah.
Metaphor.
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
make it a bit more fun.
Analogies are often helpful, so yes.
So imagine, in your organization is a house, basically. All employees live together in this house. And if we want to live properly together, we need, in the morning to be able to find our keys, or in the kitchen to find the plates, the forks, etc. So data governance is here to set up the rules of the house. Where are the items? How we label them? How do we clean them? All these are a set of policies. And then you label stuff. So this is a metadata of items. So that's, kind of an analogy that you can see and that is used often is the analogy of the house.
And there is nothing more frustrating than having to look for your keys when you're someone is waiting for you in the car. So, all right, I think we get some sense of the relevance of data governance. But maybe if we take just a quick step back, where is the concept of data governance coming from? I mean, has it always existed? I suppose no, but so where is it coming from?
In terms of evolution, first we were, I think it was probably 20 years ago, something like that, maybe more. We were more talking about master data management because we needed to have a single source of truth for what we call master data. So, for example, we needed a clear source of truth for our customers, our products, our suppliers. So that's how it started, but it started with master data management. And then I think we realized that not only master data require a good level of governance within the organization. So then it expanded to, all the data of the organization.
Okay. So it's a good segue into what are the, the problems that data governance is trying to tackle, because so we've got the theory, we've got the definition of data governance as a framework of rules, policies, roles, and especially finding your keys in your house at the right moment. But what are the problems?
The problems. So you're going to have, for example, bad quality of data. So, I was talking about the customers' base, for example. This could really be a problem. lead to a lot of waste in terms of money, because you're gonna try to speak to customers, send emails, but you don't have the correct email address, for example. So quality is a big part, of course, of governance. But there are other aspects to it. There's also the accessibility of data. We know that today there's like thousands of systems. There's the integration between these systems that are complicated. So accessing the right data at the right time can be complicated. And there's also the compliance. When we say where it comes from, also the data governance. We had a big milestone in 2017 with the GDPR that arrived, and that was imposing certain rules in terms of managing and protecting personal data.
So regulatory challenges, right? Adapting your organization so that it fits the legal framework that's developing.
Yeah, because these are the difficult aspects. I mean, what we're trying to solve, quality, accessibility, but all of this, we will do it thanks to, indeed, better definition of roles, of responsibilities, of processes, the execution of certain policies within the organization. So.
Okay. And maybe to round up this sequence about the challenges of the challenges that data governance is trying to solve, do you have any figures, any numbers that illustrate, the problem that companies are facing, in the management or in the governance of their data?
So that's a question that is frequently asked, especially by, like executives and top management, because they are expecting ROI when you start doing data governance. You take a recent study from Gartner, it was a couple years ago, I think. They did a study and they found out that 20% of every database is actually wrong.
20%. So that's as many customer emails, customer information, maybe company information.
Yeah. The money that you invest to reach customers, for example, or to, create new product based on your existing products, it could be based on wrong data. So you can imagine the waste also, in terms of budget.
So 1 out of 5 data points.
Yep.
Just to get this in mind for the people listening to us, this is a very serious challenge.
Yeah.
And I suppose in your consulting experience, you've probably seen some chaotic houses, right? Houses in the worst disorder possible.
Yes.
Could you, without, of course, citing any names, could you give us a sense of how, the data was all over the place?
Yes, it's something that I've seen actually more frequently than we think is companies who, they don't have a correct number, or they have several numbers for example, calculating revenues.
Okay.
So you have several teams, the finance, even, operations, marketing. They need this to drive, because it's driving them every day. But they don't share the same calculation rule. It can be fine, but the problem is that at the end of the month, when you need to consolidate the numbers within the company, you need to agree on how much revenue you've made, for sure.
Yeah, it seems to be the starting point.
So it's one of these key indicators that at some point you realize that you have 3-4 dashboards and they don't say the same thing.
That's worrisome. At first glance, it's quite worrisome. But so, fortunately, there is a framework that can help us solve this problem. So we gave a quick definition in the beginning of the podcast of data governance. But, I did my homework ahead of this podcast. And what's jumped to my mind, or jumped to my eyes, is the team you've assembled, or the ideal team of data governance. Because it's not just an abstract concept. We said it's a range of roles as well, people. So could you tell us maybe a little bit about the people behind data governance? Who are they?
Yes. So basically, you are going to have a central team that is going to set up the framework, the rules, and putting it all together for the organization. So within this central team, you can have, for example, the chief data officer or head of data governance, depending on your organization, a data governance manager who's going to coordinate at scale the framework. And then what you're going to find is within each business department, you need some rules as well, because you don't want everything to rely on your central team. It's not going to work. So you need to have a federated organization with roles in each business team. And in each business team, usually what we have the data sponsor, which is highest level, like C-level of the unit.
So that's the big name that's advocating for the data governance framework.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Okay.
So he needs to find interest in this framework for sure. It's the first person that you need to convince to be on board.
So you could be the CMO, the CFO, someone who's got influence in the company. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. CFO is a good one, if especially on our revenue example.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And then you're gonna have data owner. So the data owner is probably manager level, and he's here to approve. For example, approve a new calculation rule, approve some business definitions, give specific access to data within the scope. But it's more this kind of level. And, for me, like I say, it's not about having new tasks. It's just about doing what they do every day, but in a more structured way with a clear documentation, etc. And then you're going to have data steward. So this is more the operational level of data governance. The data steward has a very specific business knowledge that he's going to translate into data rules. Like, for example, he's going to say, okay, I need this level of data quality because it makes sense for me from a business point of view.
So that's very interesting. I mean, first, just to get this really clear in our mind, we've got this team that starts from the top with the data sponsor. Yeah. Then we've got the data owner, which is synonym with data manager, right? Data owner, data manager.
Yeah.
And they validate or not the rule that is set by the data steward. Is that correct?
Yes, okay. Exactly. The data steward is going to give, is going to share some definition, some calculation rule, or is going to flag issues too, because, at the operational level, is able to say, okay, this dashboard, the number doesn't make sense.
Okay. So, and could you give us an empirical example of, a rule that is set by the steward, the data steward?
It's some example of tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for example, what we have in data governance is for all these documentation elements and metadata documentation, you have a data catalog, usually, in companies. And the data steward is going to go into the data catalog, edit the definition of the term, and send it to validation to the data owner, for example.
Okay.
You could also have a moment of having a workshop, coming back to my revenue example.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If there's one person in finance setting this definition for revenue and this other person in marketing.
Yes,
so
they need to come together at some point. And that's also why the central team is necessary to set up this coordination and to say, okay, you three people disagree on a specific term and calculation rule. You need to come together so that we can find a consensus on this.
All right. And so you, as I said, you're doing a lot of consulting work yourself around, among other things, data governance. Yep. So could you give us an example maybe of a company that's managed to implement this data governance framework that is coming to grips with it?
I've been working, for large companies who have subsidiaries in different countries, like international companies. Okay. And I think it's actually the hardest type you could get, because when I say workshop, I've been in workshop with like 15 people from different nationalities, and they don't work the same way. So it's even harder to have to reach this common definition, this common point of like, okay, we agree on something. It's actually hard to do. But that's what makes sense. For me, it's super interesting, because that's when you realize that tiny differences and the language too. We speak the same language, but we need to make sure it's each word has to be selected carefully. But yeah, some international companies, they've made it work. Like, you're able for each country to have your roles. You still have a central team, and the central team is making sure that at group level, you have common definitions, common rules that are working. And then it is reflected. That's the whole point, is to have it reflected and executed in the tools. So it's not...
What do you mean reflected? Implemented?
Yes,
Okay.
implemented, because it's, say we agree on a definition for our revenue.
Finally.
That's great.
Finally.
That's great, but
Okay.
we need to implement it. Otherwise, it's just going to be something written in like a Word document somewhere, but nobody reads it. So you need to implement that in the different tools. So in BI, in your dashboard, even if you have AI coming into play, it needs to take this into account.
So we started with the abstract definition of this framework. Now we're giving some hints of how to practically implement this framework. But if for our listener thinking, okay, this sounds good, it's an horizon I want to sail towards. How do I go there? Where do I start? Where do I start my mutation towards data governance?
So what I do first, have this phase that you can call audit or diagnosis, and during this first phase, you're going to do some interviews with different people. Of course, you're going to start with the top management, but also I like doing interviews with managers and team members, because I need to understand how they manipulate data, what are the data pain points, what do they spend a lot of time on, what is painful in their work. And once you have this vision, then you can come up with a real reason for data governance, because that's going to be, you need a driver. For some companies, it's easy because it's compliance. For example, they need to respect GDPR.
They have no choice. They have to.
Yeah, in this case, it's quite easy because the driver is a compliance. That's fine. But for other companies, you need to find something. So it's during the interviews that you're gonna find what I call these horror stories.
All right.
So
it sounds spooky.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I don't know, you can find someone that is going to say, I've been spending 3 weeks to analyze different files, reconsolidate, and find the number for revenues, because we didn't have a clear rule. I had to cross different sources of data that didn't align, and it's been a nightmare.
The keys were in the attic.
Yeah.
All the time she was looking in the kitchen, but they were in the attic. Oh God, 3 weeks.
So
that's horrible.
And these elements are super important to get the sponsorship and the buy-in from leaders in the company, because in this case it's great. I'm super happy when I hear that in interviews, even if it's horrible. I'm happy because I have something to present. I can write it properly as a business case for the top management. I can say, okay, you as a company are losing this much time and then this much money because you don't have a proper governance.
So the balance of pros and cons is pretty clear from the view of the people deciding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you arrive with a specific case like this, it has so much more impact than, if I arrive and I'm like, okay, it's a framework with a methodology, with roles, with blah, blah, blah. It's not what they want to hear.
It sounds like a nice dream.
Yeah.
Then, okay, so
But-
that's step one, diagnosis.
Yep.
What is step two?
So step 2, you get the buy-in from the top management with your business case. Great.
Okay.
This means that you're going to have more a top-down approach, that you can really start launching a data governance program within the company. And it's great to have something official, sponsored, with resources that it is required to implement at first. And then phase 2 is actually writing and be clear about the framework that you want to implement. We talked about the roles and responsibilities. Well, in the phase 2, you're going to be super clear, okay, what is expected from our data owner? What is expected from our steward? Going to write all that. What are the tasks that they are going to do? And also you need to think about the way of animating the community. So that's more about the committees.
What do you mean? The community within the company? Those participating in this big ordering of the house?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So you're going to maybe your data owners, especially when you have some decisions that need to be taken between different departments. It happens actually a lot. So maybe you're going to need some kind of monthly committee for all data owners to come together, review the decisions that they have to take, etc. So that's the framework. That's phase 2.
Could we make a distinction between the short-term implementations and the long-term goals? Because I think reading your newsletter, there's this idea of quick wins, right?
Yes, because again, for the company, and even when you meet business teams, it's hard when you can't really tell them that, it's going to take a year before we have any results. That's a bit frustrating. So you need to come up with some quick wins that you could work on and that are going to deliver results within maybe 2-3 months. And that's also what we want to do during phase 2. You're right.
And how do you do that? So you focus on some key, maybe the main pain points, and you just work them out? Yeah,
just have in your central team, it's great to have someone that is hands-on, and he's able to unlock these quick wins quickly. It can be coming up with a common rule for our top KPI for the company, for example, and then align our 3 reporting on this definition. So that's, for example, for me, that's a quick win because it's not too large in terms of scope, but it's going to deliver value.
We need some empirical images because I'm, again, thinking about the listeners. There's, for those who might be skeptical, those who remain skeptical in spite of the 20% figure we mentioned earlier of the clear strategy you just laid out. Could you tell us maybe a few words about a success story that you witnessed and maybe you took part in? A company that really managed to shift its trajectory in terms of data.
I think for those who are skeptical, it's also when you grow, when your company is going to grow, it's going to be more and more painful. Before talking about success, I want to mention also some facts that I've seen is that when your teams, when they spend, 2 days per week, a lot of time just searching for the correct data, asking others where are the correct file about this or that. It's kind of a chaos that they live in, and some people in the company, they have the answers, but nothing is documented. So you have these people who are actually bottlenecks, basically, of the company. They collect all the knowledge, And that's really bad situation because people are, it's chaos.
Information doesn't flow. It doesn't circulate.
Flow. And these people who are bottleneck, they are not happy either. They receive 10, 20 messages a day asking for the correct number, the correct file. What does this mean? Where is it? It's a nightmare. So this is examples, and it's gonna be even more complicated when you scale. On the contrary, if you want an example of success,
yes, please.
For me, and it's something I've witnessed when you arrive in a new environment, a new company, the onboarding that the company is going to give you, it will say everything. I mean, at this moment, you will know already if they have a good data governance or no.
If the house is tidy or if it's chaos.
Because a good onboarding is we give you access to what you need, and we give you access within one day, not within 1 month. We give you the proper documentation that you need to do your work. And when I say documentation, it's also being able to do it in self-service. Like if there's a new word in this company that I don't know what it means, I need to be able to go somewhere, usually a catalog again, and type in the search bar and then find by myself what's the definition, what it means. So I should have that. I should have a documentation. I should have also the process clearly documented and explained to me. So all these elements should be part of the onboarding that you receive when you arrive at a new firm.
Wonderful. Perfect.
It tells you everything about if it's governed properly or not.
Sounds very clear to me. And I think it wraps up quite well this first part of this episode. All right, so we're getting to the end of this first part of our episode with Charlotte Ledoux. So we explored data governance, the ins and outs of this framework that can help you save a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources in general terms. It was a very interesting discussion. We talked about the origins of the concept, what it is, how to implement it. So we've got plenty of practical takeaways for you. And in the next part of our episode, we'll venture into new territory. I'm talking about AI governance, the governance of your AI systems, and how to take the most advantage of these systems. It's going to be a very interesting conversation, and I'm looking forward to being with you very soon. Bye-bye.